Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Yesterday, there was a question asked, in the sense, in the commentary, because in self-enquiry, when ego is dissolved completely, how can a person live? Because all the transactions are done by ego, individual. When that individuality is dissolved, how can a person transact? That question is not answered in the commentary yet. So we saw in the 5th verse, Atma abhasaha bhabhasa abhasa ahankarha sayada sampraliyate. Atma abhasastu ahankaraha. What is ahankara? First, Atma abhasa, reflection of the higher self, pure self. Saha, that reflection, ego, yada, when sampraliyate is dissolved, then what remains? Atma satyaha, satyatma, satyatma, the real self, abhitaha, in all sides, fully present, purnaha, kevalaha, parishishyate. So when the ego is dissolved, what remains is infinite, eternal, pure presence, or the reality, higher self. That was what was said in the shloka. So therefore, we saw tasya swatassiddhatvat na asti agama apayova. This state, like ego comes and goes. But this state of realization, that higher self, when we discover, there is no question of coming and going to that state. We remain eternally in that state. That state doesn't come and go. It is even now it is there. But we are not aware of it. We are not awakened to that state which is already there inside. Okay? Up to that point we saw. Now, the commentary comes. More commentary on that. Because based on that question, not asked by any disciple here, this question is raised by commentator. Stating that when ahankara is dissolved, for a pamara purusha, for an ignorant man, this doubt comes. How can the transactions continue in the world? So that question was raised by the commentator. So he answers in this verse. Ahankara vilaye yad avashishyamanam bhavati. Now once the ego is dissolved, then what remains? The balance, the pure self. So tat, whatever remains, it is not shunyam. Tanna shunyam. Because the shunyavada, some misunderstood people of Buddhism, Buddha never said shunya. He said that state is empty. Emptiness is that state. Emptiness of all that which exists doesn't exist there. But it is that itself, in itself, is full presence. But that state is empty of everything else. That state is not empty. But that is misunderstood by people, and they said nothing exists, all empty, all empty. From emptiness, no Jagat can come. So that is misunderstood. Therefore, this concept, this clarification is said by the commentator here, tanna shunyam. What remains is not shunyata, kintu purnam vastu. But it is purnam vastu remains. Yadeva atma ahankarasyapi monastrayattvena tishtati. That Atman, which is the balance, shesham, parishesham, what remains, which cannot be removed. It is eternal presence, Satyatma. That state is the root of Ahankara also. Because from Ahankara comes from that only, because Ahankara is Abhasa, reflection of the original. Then what is the original? Original is pure self. So Ahankarasyapi Moola Ashrayatvena Tishtati. Now, that remains as the source of the Ahankara. That's whatever is remaining after the dissolution of ego. Now, Athacha Loka Vyavahareapi Atmasrayatvena eva Karmendriyanam Jnanendriyanam Antakaranasyapi Vyaparaha Sambhavati. Now, question is, Jnanendriyas are functioning, Karmendriyas are functioning, mind is functioning, that is Antakarana is functioning, Mana Buddhi Chitta Ahankara. All these are actually functioning not because of ego, because of the pure self. If the pure self is not there, these vyaparas cannot continue. That is Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, these things cannot work. So, nirahankaram karma jnanam va naiva shakyam iti tu brahma eva iti jneyam. One is to understand, one should understand, without ahankara, all vyaparas cannot take place. It is only a brahma, it is only an illusion. Because ahankara is not necessary for the functioning of the karmendriyas and jnanendriyas. What is required is pure self. In that presence of the higher self alone, these things are working. Think about it. So, if ahankara is not there, this vyapara, transactions cannot take place. It is only illusion. That means what? To live in this world, ahankara is not necessary. The doubt was what? If ahankara is dissolved, how can the transactions take place? The author, the commentator, clearly says here, Kapala Shastri ji, that without ahankara also, all the vyaparas can continue, because even now they are all continuing because of the presence of the self, Atman, inside. Not because of ahankara. Because, for example, how come the body is sustained when in deep sleep state then? Who sustains the physical body? Who is sustaining the heartbeat? Who is sustaining the blood circulation? Who is sustaining the breath? Who is sustaining the pranamaya sharira? Think. So, prana is karmendriyas. And the jnanendriyas, in the deep sleep, ahankara is not there. But certain involuntary functions are taking place. How? That means ego is not required. So, without ego, whatever is to function in deep sleep state, they are functioning. Similarly, in waking state also, without ego, no vyapara, no transaction in the world is possible. This is a Brahma. It is a delusion, delusory thinking. It is not correct. Right? Nirahankaram karma jnanam va naiva shakyam iti brahma eva iti jneyam. Udite, example is given. Udite surye, when sun rises, tat prabhavasrayanatcha loke sarvane bhutani sveshu karmasu pravartante. Now, when sun rises, all the world gets into activity mode. Everybody gets into their own activity. So for all activities, of the daytime, morning till evening, who is the support for us? Surya Bhagavan. Right? Udite Surye tat prabhavat, meaning tat prabhava ashrayanach loke sarvani bhutani sveshu karmasu pravartante. Evam sahaja siddhe cha atmaswarupe tad ashrayanadev chit kriyatmaka mana prana vyaparaha prachalanti. Similarly, when in the presence of self, even without ego, all the actions in the waking place continue. They continue. Why? Because of the karma, prarabdha karma. So as the prarabdha karma, all the actions continue. So there is no sense of I is required. But right now we feel ahankara is required for every activity. It is not required. Just as sun rises, all actions take place in the presence of sun. But in sun, in itself, it is nishkriya. There is no action in the sun. In the presence of sun, according to their own activities, everybody is functioning. Similarly, in the presence of Atman, all the sense organs, karmendriyas, organs of action and organs of knowledge, both work in the presence of Atman. So, natu ahankarinaha. It is not because of ahankarinaha. So, tasya swataha rupa abhavat. Why? Ahankara has no form of its own. Ahankara has no form of its own. Think. More clarity will come later. Now only. So he says ahankara has no form of its own. Plus aswatantratvacha. It is not independent. It is independent on the higher self. If higher self is not there, without the original, can there be reflection? No. So without the higher self, can ego function? No. So, ahankara has not got its own form. So this is beautifully said in Saddarshanam. That he quoted Saddarshanam sloka. What is sloka? Rupo tatha acha Saddarshane pratipaditam. In Saddarshanam, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi's text, it is very clearly said. What? Ahankara has no form of its own. How the sloka says goes, Rupodbhavo rupatati pratishto rupashano dhota gruhita rupaha swayam virupah swavichara kale dhavatyahankara pishacha yesha. Now, yesha ahankara pishacha. This ahankara pishacha, ghost. What is a ghost? Shadow. Not original. It's a ghost. When you see a ghost, वो भूत बनकर आया है. When we say somebody appeared as a ghost, then कोई पूछा है कौन था वो? बोलते हैं वही है, my friend or relative, whatever you say. इसका मतलब you could recognize him. हाँ, देखते ही पहचान लिया, वो भूत बन गया. So we see his form, but not of the physical body. It is like appearance in the form of the body which he dropped recently. And he became ghost. Ghost means what? All are pishachas only actually. Some appear, some don't appear. Those who are drawn towards physical matter strongly, they appear. Not higher souls. They don't want to appear. But those who are drawn towards physical matter, sometimes people see them. A form. So what is that form? A form is there. It's a pishacha. It is not original. So ahankara is a pishacha. It's a ghost. Ghost of your own higher self. So this ahankara pishachaha, right? Rupa udbhavaha. Rupa udbhava means it is born with a form. Rupa udbhavaha. But just now said you don't have its form. Yes. It has not got its own form. It is taking the form of the object, form of the thought, of whatever the content of the thought. So it is changing its colors like chameleon. Moment to moment, ahankara is changing its colors. It has not got its own swarupa. Its own apna koi roop nahi hai. Like water you pour in it takes the shape of the container. Water in itself has not got any shape. If you put it in a well, it takes the shape of a well. If it is a lake, it takes the shape of the lake. If it is a jar, it takes the shape of the jar. Then what is the form of the water? No form of its own. Similarly, a ego takes the form of the thought. Thought means a content in it. When I say thought, thought of what? Thought of X, Y, Z, something. So ego is constantly changing. So rupodbhavaha. But it is what? Rupa tati pratishtaha. It is based on a group of forms. It's a collection of different forms. Changing forms. So it is like a colorful entity made up of different forms of the thoughts that it entertains, and based on the collection of forms is ego. Morning my form is different. After breakfast my form is different. Sometimes I think I am fat, I am thin, I am this, I am that, I am angry, I am that, I am frustrated. So every thought is a shape. Thought has a shape. Thought has a color. Thought has mass at energetic level. Thought has a direction. And thought has some quality in it. If you are a yogi, you can see the thought forms. The form created by the thought. All the thoughts are born out of ego only. So ego is taking different forms. It's a collection or based on a group of forms. Rupa tati pratishta. And rupa ashanaha. Ego, ahankara pishachaha, eater of the forms. Ashana means eater. Eater of forms. Why? It consumes different forms. It identifies with each form, and at that moment it feels it is that. For example, for a moment you are angry. So you are angry at that time. So from morning till evening, I take different forms, different thoughts, different forms. So I am consuming different forms, different thoughts. So rupa ashanaha plus dhuta gruhita rupaha. And this dhuta gruhita rupaha. This ego, for moment to moment, it drops one form and takes up another form. So at the moment, whatever you think, there is a form created out of it. And constantly we are thinking of different objects, different thoughts, different moods. So every mood, there is a constant change in it. So the previous form is dropped, new form is taken up. One mood is dropped, another mood is taken up. So if you meditate, its ego is like constantly changing colors. It drops one form, it takes up another form. That form can be seen by yogis. इट इज योगी प्रत्यक्ष. इसका प्रमाण है भागवत में. When Gokarna's brother dies and becomes a ghost, and he gives darshan to Gokarna. So Dunduli, mother's name, Dundukari, his name. Now this man sees suddenly an entity which is constantly changing. 1 second wolf, 1 second, next moment it transformed that form into bull, another form. This one restlessly is changing the forms. So Gokarna asked, "Who are you? You are changing forms like that, colors are changing. Who are you, this entity?" He says, "Tava bhrataroham, I am your brother. Dundukari namaha." Hey, how come you are like this? What to tell? I am in Naraka now, suffering. Naraka means suffering, state of suffering. But I performed your Sardha ceremony in Gaya and all other Punya Kshetras. You may put thousands of Shraddhas. There will not be any mukti for me. I am Shraddha, insensitive to it. I cannot be blessed like that. Please do something. Then he thinks and inquires, and then he goes, Sanat Kumara, Naraji, and all that story goes. Then ultimately he was suggested to conduct Bhagavad Saptaha, then he did. Okay. Now this is the form, constantly changing. That form, that change is happening even now. Even now it is happening. Every thought is a form. So I pick up a form, drop the form. So dhuta gruhita rupaha. Dhuta given up, gruhita held. This fellow. Such a hankara, swayam virupaha. That means what? It is actually, there is no rupa of its own. That's why it is able to change. It is taking all types of forms. Like water has not got its own shape. Therefore, it is taking any shape. Whatever container, it takes that shape. So, अपना करके कोई एक विशिष्ट रूप पानी का भी नहीं है. जल का रूप क्या है? भाई जिस पात्र का धारण जल करता है, जल का रूप वही बनता है, उसी रूप में प्रकट हो जाता है. थिंक. तो फिर यानी जल का अपना स्वरूप क्या है? अपना कोई स्वरूप नहीं है. इसका मतलब जल नहीं है क्या? जल तो है ही. जल आपको हमेशा दर्शन देता है. कैसे? जहां आप देखते हैं उसी के रूप में जल दर्शन देता है. कुआं में देखा कुएं के रूप में, पात्र में देखा पात्र के रूप में, नदी में देखा तो नदी के रूप में. देखिए. सो देयरफॉर इट इज स्वयं विरूपः. मगर ये है अहंकार, ईगो. और कहते हैं स्वविचार काले धावती. तब इसका एक्चुअली वो क्या है? वो एंटिटी, वो शक्ति, वो एनर्जी, व्हाट एवर यू कॉल एनर्जी, ईगो, ये क्या है? जब आप व्हेन यू स्टार्ट इंक्वायरिंग, इट रन्स अवे. So, it is called Atma Vichara. When I inquire who is this, then only it will disappear. हाँ, कुछ मूवीज में आपने देखा होगा, कोई भी हो, some hero, he befriends the villain. And he had a strategy. He befriends the villain and He suggests all wrong things. So the villain doesn't know who is actually enemy. That enemy is next to him only, in the form of PA. Have you seen such movies or not? उसको आखिर में पता लगता है कि यही है, सब करवा रहा है, ये दुश्मन मेरा यही है. बट ये यहाँ पे विलन है. इंस्टेड ऑफ विलन, यू कीप योर सेल्फ. दैट पर्टिकुलर PA, he doesn't want to die. He keeps his presence intact and he keeps on suggesting us, showing this, that, this and that. Do this, do that, do this, do that, you'll be happy. But I don't inquire, who is this one suggesting me? What is his intention? When I turn towards that ego disappears. Ego cannot stand to inquiry. So, ego doesn't want to be inquired. So what does it do? It always misguides us. So in misguiding us, ego is safe. It doesn't allow us to inquire about itself. So it always directs us towards the outer world, behaving as though our best friend, all the while protecting itself from our nazare. That is the ego. Whatever suggestion it gives, ego is only giving. Ego gives us certain good thoughts and makes us feel good, and makes you get caught up in good or bad. But when I inquire, there's a conflict in me, always trying to avoid bad, trying to be good because I want to be good. And there's a tussle, struggle. When I inquire, who is suggesting me to do this, to do that? Then I will know, oh, ego. Think. So when you focus, who is this guy who is suggesting me to do this and that? Then only ego runs away. Till then, ego is with us, suggesting us, directing us, misleading us, misguiding us. If you are good, it hides behind that goodness. It makes you feel happy, false happiness. तुमने दान दक्षिणा दे दिया ना, बहुत सुख मिलता है, आराम करो. बट ये आराम जो सुख की बात होती है, ये किसका सुख है? That is ego. So ego hides. And it knows how to cheat you, how to deceive you. It goes along with your line of thinking and acts as a great supporter. Are you understanding? It may suggest you go to temple and it gives you false happiness. In that false happiness, it is protecting itself. It will come later on in this commentary. So, therefore, tasmad ahankaraha na vastutah atma. Therefore, ego is not Atman. Kintu atma iva abhasamanaha aham veshadaraha is behaving as though it is self. Again, in some movies you would have come across, you wanted to go and meet the boss. Somebody sits in the chair, acts as a boss, and the real boss comes and he gets up. तुम कौन है? मैं तो उसका पीए हूं. तो अभी तक यू आर बिहेविंग लाइक ए बॉस. होता है कि नहीं? ऐसा हुआ है, दिखाते हैं कभी कभी. So aham atma veshadharaha. It is taking in the garb of Atman, it is behaving. Therefore, very great statement is, ego imitates the voice of divinity. And we get trapped in that. We cannot discriminate. We are always clasped by the ego, in the clutches of ego. It imitates the voice of divinity. In all these things, it is trying to protect itself. It doesn't allow you to inquire about itself. It is always showing you outside. So, Atma iva abhasamanaha aham veshadaraha yo vichare kriyamane virupo dhavati eva iti. By in itself it has no form. When you initiate inquiry, it runs away. It runs away. Tasya vilayanam uktam. That means, when it runs away means, it is dissolved. The story I told you, Ramana Maharshi's story, many times he said, this story, I told you also, in different lectures. Not in Ramana Geeta necessarily, but in any places. There is a shadi ho rahi hai. So, the bride's side and bridegroom side. In those days, about 7 days shadi, 5 din shadi. So everybody is, but this one person is, constantly helping the bride side and also bridegroom side. Same person. Whatever you want, he is running around and helping everybody. And everybody thought, bride side thought he is from bridegroom side. Because to help us, they must have asked him to work for us. He worked. And bridegroom side thought that they thought he is from bride side, deputed here to take care of our needs. आपको पानी चाहिए, सबसे पूछता था क्या चाहिए क्या चाहिए. बड़ा सेवक. शादी हो गए, साथ में सब बैठे हैं. इस शादी के महोत्सव में अंतिम डिनर, लास्ट पार्टी. देन लेट टुमारो दे आर ऑल गोइंग बैक. वहाँ पे आपस में प्यार से बात कर रहे थे. बोला कि आपका जो वाइट कुर्ता वाइट पायजामा पहन के घूम रहे थे ना, वो सज्जन, पता नहीं आपने बहुत अच्छा किया है और हमारा देखभाल अच्छे से किया है. तो द अदर मैन सेड, हम वही प्रश्न पूछने वाले थे, वो कौन था? और आपका नहीं है, हमारा. हम सोच रहे थे आपके पार्टी के है. नो, हमारा तो है ही नहीं. हम सोच रहे थे आपके पार्टी के है. When the inquiry started, that fellow already collected what he wanted to collect from both the houses, parties, and he slowly slipped away. When inquiry begins, the guy started away, moving away, and disappeared. Otherwise, ego supports all your thoughts. Ego tells you to meditate, ego tells you to not to meditate. Depending on your mood. मेरे साइकोलॉजिस्ट है वो. सपोज यू आर नॉट, कोई बात नहीं, तू तो शुद्ध ब्रह्म चैतन्य हो, साधन से भी परे है, ठीक है. सुबह क्या है, शाम क्या है, सब मिथ्या है। पृथ्वी घूम रही है, सुबह शाम आपका अनुभव है। इन दोनों अनुभवों को, सुबह और शाम को जो प्रकाशित करता है वो शुद्ध आत्मा है, वो आप है। इसीलिए समय से आप परे है। तो जब उठना है तब उठो। बहुत बढ़िया लॉजिक है। So we don't put efforts to inquire. Keeping the ego intact, we do all sadhanas. So we'll never realize the truth. We will never realize the truth. You can do 1,000 lives, various sadhanas with ego. Ego is not attacked by inquiry. So it keeps itself safe by constantly deceiving you life after life. And it has been happening, and we think we are great seekers of truth. हम बड़े साधक हैं, मंत्र जप करते हैं, पूजा करते हैं, अनुष्ठान करते हैं, पाठ करते हैं, वो करते हैं, मंदिर में जाते हैं, दक्षिणा दान देते हैं, कुछ चढ़ाते हैं, कुछ चुराते हैं, वॉट एवर इट इज। क्योंकि चुराने वाले क्या, बस प्रसाद चुराते हैं। So ego is happy. Don't come to me, I'm happy. And I keep on pushing you away into the world. That's why we never know the truth. हाँ, पुण्य कमा सकते हो, स्वर्ग भी जा सकते हो, but no, truth will not be known. Realization won't happen. Frustrated souls.
20 साल हो गए आपके साथ, अभी भी नहीं सुधरेंगे, फिर कब?
अरे अम्मा, भगवान रमण महर्षि के साथ लोग पूछते हैं, भगवान जी मोक्ष दे दो। पता नहीं भगवान क्या कहा, बस एवरीबडी हैज टू गेन इट्स सो देयर ओन मोक्ष, कोई कुछ मदद नहीं कर सकता। So Gurudev used to say, I am only an indicator, not the indicated. I am only a pointer, not the pointed. चलना आपको होता है, कोई यहाँ पे उठा के मोक्ष में डाल देंगे ऐसा कोई नहीं है। It is only your own progress. Any teacher from outside only they can tell. Nobody can help. You help yourself. Uddhared atmanatmanam. Okay. Therefore, यद्यपि आत्म आभासस्य अहंकारस्य विलय इष्यते, although the ego, which is the reflection of self, ego's dissolution is wished, wanted, tathapi vachyamartham mano viduhu. What is the vachyartha of the ego? Mind. This we saw earlier slokas. Vachyamartha mano vidhu iti pragukta lakshanam aham padam prati tasya eva abhideyatvat. Earlier it was said, what is vachyartha of ego? That is vachyamartham mano viduhu. Ego is mind only. Ego is mind. Iti pragukta lakshanam aham padam prati tasyeva abhideyatvat teneva svelayo nirbhagya. Meaning, complete dissolution of ego means complete dissolution of mind. Tasmat tan moolanveshanena tal laya vidhane sadhite aham padalakshyartham hrudayam atmaswarupam viditam bhavati iti. Now, we saw, what is the aham pada vachyartham? Mind. Aham pada lakshyartham, implied meaning heart. We saw in the earlier chapter. If you want, listen to YouTube again. What is the lakshyartha? Implied, the vachyartham, word meaning, direct meaning is mind. Aham pada. What is the implied meaning? Aham means what? Hrudayam. Lakshyartham is Hrudayam. That we saw earlier. Tasmat and Moolanveshanena tallaya vidhane sadhite ampadalakshartham udayam atmaswarupam viditam bhavati. So when you inquire about the root cause of the ahankara, what is this inquiry about ahankara? It will take you to its root, implied meaning. What is it? Vachyartham is ahankara, mind. What is the implied meaning of ahankara? If you inquire, then the ahankara will give its way and you will reach the source of it, Urdayam. So, what is the implied meaning of the ego? I means Urdayam. So, Viditam Bhavati, that Urdayam is realized. Then, Vichara Siddhi Prakara, this is how Vichara Siddhi Prakara, the attainment of the Siddhi, the fruit, through inquiry is indicated in this way. This is the path of inquiry, self-inquiry. So, Atma Labha Phalamiti Suchitam. Now, what is the Prayojanam? What are the questions he asked? No. Second question is answered now. Third question, Prayojanam Kim Bhavati? You remembered the first four questions. Second question, what is the nature of the self? Kinnu Swarupam? This is told now. Second question, what is Prayojanam? Kimba Prayojanam? The Prayojanam is said now. Second question is answered now. What is that? Atah Palam Vivranvan, Uttamam Palam Vivranvan Tadityaha. So detailing the Uttamam Palam, the fruit, final fruit of self-inquiry, he said this. What is that? Sarva Klesha Nivritti Syat Phalam Atma Vicharataha Phalanam avadhissoyaha soyam asti netodhikam phalam. Sarva klesha nivritti syat phalam atma vicharataha phalanam avadhissoyam asti netodhikam phalam. Now, see, what is the, अब देखिए, what is the प्रयोजनम? चलो ठीक है, आत्मज्ञान हो गया, तो क्या होता है? आत्मज्ञान, उक्त स्वरूपात आत्मविचारतः, as mentioned above, what is the form of inquiry, as mentioned above, by doing that atma vichara, sarva klesha nivrittihi. All the miseries will come to an end. Miseries. Now we don't have to enlist the miseries of ours. We are all miserable. Once Jiddu Krishnamurti was talking in a session. He was asking that you drop all this and what higher time he was talking. So then that inner transformation change, not the thought transformation, that meaning is different from what he says. We transform one thought into other thought and think it is transformation. No. His change is different. So somebody got up and said, why should I change? So he quietly answered, Sir, are you contented now? Fully contented. He said, no, then change. Then change. Think. So we have so many kleshas. अरे रामा, सुबह से लेकर के सपने में भी क्लेश ही होता है हमारे को, ये कुछ सुख सपनों पर नहीं आता है हमको। आराम से राजा बन गया है, खीर खा रहे हैं, कुछ ऐसा नहीं होता है। भिखारी बनकर घूम रहे जंगल में, वो भी वहां पे भी दुखी है। क्या किसी को राजा बनकर खीर खा रहे हैं, राजा अधिराज अयो ऐसे बोलो, कोई नहीं। कुत्ता पीछे बढ़ रहा है, दौड़ रहा है रात को स्वप्न में भी दौड़ो दौड़ो, बचा बचाओ, थक थक के टेंशन में उठ गए, अरे बाबा बच गए, तो स्वप्न है। वहां स्वप्न में भी क्लेशस विल नॉट एंड फॉर अस। कहते स्वीट ड्रीम्स, वो तो स्वीट ड्रीम होता ही नहीं एक्चुअली। So klesha is so much. And deep sleep, उठ गए, अरे जल्दी उठ गए बाबा, क्या करें, खत्म हो गए। और कांस्टेंट कंप्लेंट ऑफ एवरीबडी इज नींद पूरी नहीं हुई, तो सब्जी लेके सो जाओ फिर, पूरी सब्जी। नींद पूरी नहीं हुई, यू मस्ट ऑल्सो बी सेइंग, उठने के बाद नींद लगी, पूरी नहीं हुई, कब तक सोते रहोगे फिर? पूरी का मतलब क्या है? सब्जी, आलू की सब्जी पूरी के साथ, वो भी क्लेश है। सोने के उठ के क्लेश, उठते ही क्लेश। अरे बाबा, सर्व क्लेश निवृत्ति ही स्यात्। सो सर्वेषां क्लेशानां दुःखानां अविद्यास्मितादीनां वा निवृत्ति फलं स्यात्। व्हाट आर क्लेशास? पंच क्लेशः अविद्या, अस्मिता, राग, द्वेष, अभिनिवेश। योग सूत्रास। अविद्या, ignorance of higher self. Because of that asmita, ahankara. Ahankara, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, identification. यही पांच क्लेशाः। Start with avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. This klesha will never end for us. Really. So, phalam, that's the phalam. Atma vichara, realization will put an end to all kinds of miseries. All kinds of total freedom from all kinds of miseries. Meaning total freedom from the thought. Because thought is a bondage. So, sarva anartha nirbahanam. All anarthas, adversities, difficulties are all put an end. Atma vichara iti prayojanam uktam bhavati. So, it puts an end to all kinds of sorrows, difficulties, miseries, once for all. Because, yesterday I was telling, what is this misery? Ego. Ego is the problem. All the problems in our life. What is the cause? Ego. Ego. Our frustration karan, ego. Suppose you are good. You see bad person. And why he is not good? You are suffering. Suppose other person is bad person. And you are good. A pagalpana hai, being good, what will he achieve? He is also afflicted by your presence. How to change him? He thinks from good to bad. You think how to change him from bad to good. दोनों बकवास है, दोनों बेकार है, दोनों सफरिंग। एक बात मैं कह देता हूं भैया, सच तो यही है, वी लव आवर सॉरोस, वी लव आवर सॉरोस, मिजरीज, Because in holding on to sorrows, we get a joy of public sympathy. And that sympathy is a joy for us. बिचारा, जितने लोग बिचारे बिचारे कहते रहेंगे आप खुश हो जाओगे. Because we love our sorrows. We don't want to drop them. हम दुखी है कुछ करो, हम दुखी है कुछ करो. That is a sorrow. Gurudev said beautifully in one of the question and answer sessions, I had shared this thought also with you. Questions है गुरुदेव के सामने. Gurudev said, these questions are in your mind and not in my mind. Therefore, I cannot remove them. And if you are fanatically holding on to your own question for the past 15, 20 years and going to everybody and asking same question, and you tell me, Swamiji, this question nobody answered and I have been asking you and at last I came to you, you try, your luck with me. If you are fanatically fallen in love with your own question, even God cannot remove it. The question is, understand, the problem is you are in love with your own question. And you question, same question to ask everybody, whomever you meet. अभी तक कोई जवाब नहीं दे पाया, अब देखो तुम करो. So we love our questions, we love our sorrows, we love our problems. Psychologically, we don't want to drop them because they are in thought. Drop them. 99.99% of sorrows are not physical. They are mental, which can be dropped instantly. Instantly can be dropped. We don't want to drop them. As I said, they are like wounds. We want to dress the wound. We don't want to heal the wound. But why are you holding on to that? Why don't you drop it? No, I will not. Suffering, suffering, suffering. Klesha. So therefore, iti prayojanam uktam bhavati. So ayam tadrushaha phalavan atmavicharaha phalavan phalanam abadihi. Now you see, atmavichara phalam, the fruit gained through self-enquiry, its avadhi, its limits, ultimate limit is what? Parakashta. It is a final limit. Beyond that, there is nothing. Parakotihi sarvesham prayojananam iti yavat. Meaning, this is a final result of all the results. There is nothing beyond it. No. Is that anything beyond Anyatra? Is there any other greater, third question, no? Is there any other greater result which can be achieved other than by Atma Vichara? No. That is the final result. Jiddu Krishnamurti says in one of the talks, he says, the meditation, his definition of meditation is different. Understand? So, that is, awakening has not disappointed anyone in the history. Everybody got profit out of it. Through meditation, you realize the truth. So nobody disappointed. After awakening, we got disappointment. No, no one has got disappointment in that awakening. There is no exception in this. Like खाना खाने के बाद सबका पेट भर जाता है. पेट भर खाने के बाद सबका पेट भरता है. Any exception in this? No. No exception. जो स्वादिष्ट भोजन अपने लिए जो स्वादिष्ट है, अपना जो स्वादिष्ट, भोजन जो करता है उसका पेट भरता है, उसको तृप्ति मिलती है। दिस इज एक्सेप्शन इन दिस? नो, यूनिवर्सल। जानवर के भी मिलती है, पशु को भी, चींटी चींटी को भी मिलती है। बढ़िया इतना से दाना मिल गया शुगर का, चीनी का, बहुत बढ़िया फेस्टिवल, इज ऑल्सो हैप्पी। सो देयर इज नो एक्सेप्शन। सो व्हेन देयर इज समथिंग for which there is no exception, it becomes a rule. Rule is that which has no exception. Then only it becomes a rule. So what is the rule here? When you discover yourself, when you transcend your thought, you will not be disappointed. It is a full state of result. That's what final result it is. अरे रेलेस तो हो गया, बोर हो रहा है, ऐसा नहीं होता। That's the state, he says. Parakoti sarvesham prayojananamiti yavat iti adhyaha adhikam palam na vidyate. There is no other greater result. Question: no, is there any greater result other than this? No. Third question also answered. Atma siddhi eva purushasya paranivrittihi na anyatha ityaha. See, the purushasya of the seeker, total nivritti, complete cessation, withdrawal from everything else is possible only when we attain our own Atman. So only when we reach that state, that alone, then alone we can say one has completely attained nivritti. देखो हमारे निवृत्ति कैसी है? निवृत्ति की तुरंत प्रवृत्ति होती है। एक से निवृत्त हो गया, क्यों भाई? और किसी को पकड़ने के लिए। मैं घर बार सब कुछ छोड़ दिया, बहुत बढ़िया है। अब कहाँ रह रहे हो? अपने लिए आश्रम बनाया। माने हमारी निवृत्ति टेकिंग अस टू अदर प्रवृत्ति। हमारा निवृत्ति इज नॉट टोटल निवृत्ति। नहीं, घर छोड़ दिया, कोई आश्रम में ज्वाइन हो गया। बिना आश्रम में भी पॉलिटिक्स होता है कुछ लोग होता है बिकॉज माइंड इज सेम। नो, वो देवता लोग को ही छुड़ाते हैं, देवताओं को भी आपस में होता है। मनुष्य है, एवरीबॉडी मेरे को ये नहीं बनाया, मुझे वो बनाया, मुझे ये काम दिया, मुझे वो काम देना था। और somebody says you are not utilizing my services. ओके सर, कल सवेरे 4 बजे आ जाओ। नो, आई कैन ओनली सेवा डू बिटवीन 11 and 12 आफ्टरनून। कंडीशन नंबर 1। ऐसे लोग बहुत आते हैं आश्रम में। आपको पता नहीं, मुझे पता है। समझे कोई सेवा दे दीजिए, हाँ देंगे सर। चलो ये काम करोगे? नहीं सर, आई एक्सेप्ट सैटरडेज एंड संडेज। ऑन वीक डेज वेंसडे 11 to 12 यू कैन यूज मी। ओके, खाना बनाओ आके। नहीं सर, खाना बनाना नहीं आता है। पर क्या कर सकते हो आप बताओ? क्या बताऊं मैं? अभी झाड़ू लगा सकते हो? नहीं सर, झुक गए तो उठ नहीं सकता हूं क्योंकि कमर में दर्द है। अच्छा, Ranganathan ji used to tell this. Somebody went to ashram, it seems. His father and son. फादर बोला मेरे बेटा है, आपके आश्रम में ज्वाइन करने आया हूँ। बहुत बढ़िया है। तो समझिए आस्क्ड, तुम क्या काम कर सकते हो? बोले आप बताइए। बेटा आस्क्ड, 17, 18 year old सन। ठीक है, तुम खाना बनाना आता है तुमको किचन में? नो स्वामी जी, आई डोंट नो। तो कोई बात नहीं बेटा, तुम बर्तन मांजना आता है? नहीं वो भी नहीं आता है मुझे, हाथ से गिरा देता हूँ, शोर मचाता हूँ बर्तनों के द्वारा, मैं वो बर्तन मांजना भी नहीं होता है। अच्छा बेटा, झाड़ू पोछा लगा सकते हो? नहीं स्वामी जी, कभी नहीं किया। अच्छा, चप्पल के स्टैंड में बैठ के कुछ जूते के जो सत्संग में लोग आते हैं उनका? नहीं ऐसा वो काम नहीं, मैं नहीं कर सकता हूँ। ठीक है, तो गार्डनिंग माली का काम कर सकते हो? पानी? नो स्वामी जी, वो भी थोड़ा मुश्किल है, कभी नहीं किया। तो फादर वॉज अफेंडेड, इतने प्रश्न पूछ रहे बाबा जी। बोले स्वामी जी, वो कुछ नहीं कर सकता है, इसीलिए आपके आपास आश्रम में लेके आया हूं। और उसको, मेरे बेटे को बहुत रुला रहे हो आप, ये काम करोगे वो काम करोगे। वो कर नहीं सकता, इसलिए मैं आपके पास लेके आया हूं। फिर करता क्या है? माने यूजलेस पीपल ज्वाइन आश्रम, दैट्स व्हाट ही इज थिंकिंग। आप लोग भी सोचते होंगे स्वामी बनकर मुफ्त में खाना मिल जाता है, ब्रेकफास्ट लंच डिनर, बहुत बढ़िया है ना। स्वामी बनते कोई झंझट ही नहीं है। Somebody asked Satya Sai Baba, I heard, I don't know whether it's true or not. I wanted to experience your mind. तो बाबा said you cannot. No, एक क्षण के लिए, एक at least 1 minute 2 time, you cannot handle my mind. No, आपको एक बार, how your mind is there? He is beyond mind, but mind is a माध्यम to use the work. So ठीक है, he plugged his mind into himself, into his mind. He heard screams and prayers and cries and people, thousands and lakhs of people at once pouring thoughts, currents all the way, screaming. He closed his eyes and screamed, Baba, please. Abhi ho gaya, this is my mind. Constantly people are screaming, help. I am attending to everybody. Sending thoughts, replying through thought. तो बाबा बनना भी मुश्किल है. So therefore, there is no other greater phalam. Atma siddhi eva real nivritti. Our nivritti is only pravritti, another pravritti. समझ आ गया आपको? ठीक है. नाउ अद्भुता सिद्धय साध्या उपायान्तरतश्चयाः ताः प्राप्तोऽपि भवत्यन्ते विचारेणैव निर्वृतः अद्भुता सिद्धय साध्या उपायान्तरतश्चयाः ता प्राप्तोऽपि भवन्त्येते विचारेणैव निर्वृतः याश्च सिद्धयः अद्भुता सिद्धयः. Some siddhis you get, some people get siddhis. Anima, garima, laghima, prapti, vashitvam, ishitvam, prakamyam, all ashtasiddhis. या सिद्धयः पामरदृष्टेः आश्चर्यकरः. From the drushti, from the perception of pamara. Pamara means ignorant people like us. हमारी दृष्टि से, from our viewpoint, they are all great wonder. Siddhaya, what a great siddhi he has got. Oh, great. Pamaradrustehe adbhuta siddhaya. Ascharyakarah, for them it's a wonder. Siddhis. Upayantarataha atma vicharad anyahi upayaihi sadhyaha. All those siddhis are gained by other means other than atma vichara. It is not through atma vichara, but by other than atma vichara, you practice certain sadhanas, you get that siddhi. One who trained me right from childhood in my great spiritual textbooks and other books and thoughts, I asked that person, I wanted to see Parakaya Pravesha Mantra, I said. Parakaya Pravesha Mantra. So he said, go to kitchen in that almirah, right side, red book is there, get it, he said. He's a great man. Who got it? ये खोलो, दिखा दिया, ये मंत्र है. पढ़ना है क्या? तो मंत्र देखा. तो मंत्र के ऊपर नीचे लिखा है. Every day 10,000 times we should do japa. And for so long, and every day bhog ye dena hai, and naivedyam, and these are the rules you should practice, and with intensity you do. after this upasana, you will get Parakaya Pravesha Siddhi. बता दें. You have to pay for it, upasana, upayantaram. Then you can enter into any other body. A siddhi it is. Not Atma Jnanam. You can get a lot of rules and regulations. But of all those siddhis, which are actually seen by ignorant people as a great wonder, all those siddhis, sadhyaha, taha praptahapi, even though one attains those siddhis, purushaha, ante vicharena eva bhuktena atma siddhi sadhanena eva nirvrta nivrittam prapto. Ultimately, in the end, total nivritti from all dukkhas and kleshas and miseries is possible only through self-enquiry, not by through any other methods or gaining siddhis or some kind of powers. You will not get, klesha will not end. Changdev Maharaj, 1400 years he lived, Mahayogi, not realized Atman. Changdev Maharaj was a great Mahayogi, and he used to tame the tigers, elephants, mad elephants. It was a khel for him. And he heard about Sant Gyaneshwar, Muktabai, Nivrittinath, Sopan, all those great brothers and sister, 3 brothers and sister के बारे में सुना है. तो बच्चे, 4 बच्चे actually, 3 brothers and 1 sister. छोटे छोटे बच्चे हैं, मे भी 7 साल का, 6 साल का, ऐसा. गाने वहाँ का एज तब 6 years हम सब लोग ना दीवार पे बैठ के like a duck and washing their, brushing their teeth in the morning. गाँव में है ना, दीवार बैठ के कर रहे थे. कोई कहा जाके ज्ञानेश, बच्चा है सब लोग, ओ चांगदेव महाराज, ही हर्ड अबाउट ज्ञानेश्वर महाराज, ग्रेट महात्मास एंड 4 brothers, 3 brothers एंड तो आए तो वे चांगदेव महाराज इज कमिंग राइडिंग ऑन ए टाइगर, फेरोशियस टाइगर, ह्यूज, भयंकर टाइगर. इसके ऊपर सवारी करते करते आ रहे हैं आपके पास. तो ज्ञान में, अच्छा वो हमसे मिलने आ रहे हैं? हाँ, आपसे मिलने आ रहे हैं. अरे इतने बड़े महात्मा जी हैं, उनको स्वागत तो करना है आगे जाके करके. ही आस्क्ड द कमांडेड द वॉल टू मूव एंड द वॉल स्टार्टेड मूविंग. वॉल को बोला चल आगे चल, विल रिसीव द महात्मा. Sit they sat, all the compound wall started moving. चांगदेव महाराज को चक्कर आ गया. Why? I have tamed only another being. You have tamed the matter also. And matter is functioning according to the dictates. Then Lakshmi Bai, that Mukta Bai says, अरे भैया तो कच्चा है अभी भी. She gave the Mahalakshmi avatar. 8-year-old, that time 6, 7, or 8-year-old girl. She gave Upadesha and he went back and realized the self. So total nivritti from all sorrows takes place. And all our sadhanas are happening keeping our ego intact. Please mind you, this is the truth. बहुत कड़वी है सच्चाई, मगर ट्रूथ यही है. That is why we are frustrated. We are suffering because we are holding on to that ego. Keeping the ego intact, you do any amount of sadhanas for many lives. Shata janma koti. Oh, you do, nothing will happen. And that's what ego wanted. So, therefore, prapta bhavati atyantika shreyo labhat parama purushartha siddhehe anyat kimishyati. What is there, what else can be desired or wished other than this final result, atyantika shreya, the ultimate shreyas, good, after awakening to the truth, knowing that you are free and your eternal spirit. What else you wish for? What else can be wished or desired other than this? Brahman Maharshi says, Now, Karshnivacha, Atha Adhikarinam Adhikritya Prashna. Keeping now Adhikari in view, that is, Adhikari is the recipient. Regarding recipient, keeping him in the view, what are the practices prescribed and all? Regarding that, he asks another question. Karshnivacha, one second. Upasana dehe yat karma sukritam drushya. Where is this sloka? Yes, right. Adhikaranam adhikritya prashna. That is regarding the fit recipient. Adhikari ke baare mein. Adhikritya prashna. Regarding fit recipient. Very interesting question. What is that? Karshniruvacha etasyatma vicharasya prahuh kamadhikarinam adhikarasya sampattihi kim jnatum shakyate swayam एतस्यात्म विचारस्य प्राहुक्कम अधिकारिणम अधिकारस्य संपत्तिः किम ज्ञातुम शक्यते स्वयं. Now, who is the adhikari? Can adhikari know himself that he has become adhikari? Who is the fit recipient, fit student for Atma Vichara, self-inquiry? Can that person, fit person, know himself that he is fit for self-inquiry? Who is fit? And does one know himself or herself that he or she is fit for self-inquiry? Two prashna. No. Etasya uktasya atma vicharasya kam adhikarinam prahuhu. Kova adhikariti prushte kim swarupa adhikariti prushtam bhavati. So, who is the adhikari in this question? That means what? This also includes the nature of the fit person, nature of the qualified person. Swarupam also is included. Who is the fit means what is the nature of that fit person for inquiry. वो भी include हो गया है इस प्रश्न में. अधिकारस्य संपत्तिः स्वयं ज्ञातुम शक्यते किम. The fitness, sampatti means gaining the status or eligibility. Eligibility, sampatti, attaining fitness or gaining fitness. Adhikarasya swayam jnatum shakyate kim. Can one know himself or herself that he or she is fit for self-inquiry? The fitness is required. No, not everybody is fit for this path. Dekho. In general, public are only oriented towards lighter way, lighter satsangs. Katha sunao, bhajan karao, dance karao, nachao, maja aayega. Because, as I said, we in these all process, we are not conscious of it, cautiously doing it, then it is only an entertainment to the ego. And that entertainment is labeled as a great seeker of truth by ego, thus protecting itself from your inquiry about the ego itself. You may not like such statement. If you बिल्कुल आपको ऐसा statement पसंद नहीं है, then you are unfit for Ramana Geeta. कैसे करें? Thought has to be transcended, no? This is the path of Ramana Bahas path. All those are useless. We never say that they are useless. Cannot be said. But it did not give you the ultimate. What is that? Jnana to kaivalyam. Kaivalyam is only upon awakening, transcending the thought, transcending the ego. You may go to Vaikuntha, you need not realize the truth. You may live in Kailash, but truth is not known. You may go to Brahmaloka, truth is not known. That is the truth. You may with अर्जुन was भगवान विद भगवान कृष्ण. भगवान कृष्ण के समय में कितने लोग थे? सब लोग रिलीज हो गए क्या? गुरुदेव जीवन मुक्त पुरुष. कुछ किसी को भाई रहने से, पीने से, खाने से, मुंह कुछ नहीं होता है. यू हैव टू ट्राई योर ओन पाथ. आई हैव टू ट्राई माई ओन. I must take the support of the Guru, but walk I must. At the most, they may give the hand, they may hold, but walk you must. And they take you through fire of life experiences. I am holding your hand. चलो आगे बढ़ो. शाम भर गुरुजी आगे आग है, but I am with you ना. Please let us go together. No. हो ही नहीं सकता. तो मैं हूं ना तेरे साथ, आग से गुजरो. ना. ट्रस्ट मी. आग may not do anything to you, but definitely it will roast me. But I am there. No. आप भी मेरे साथ बैठ जाओ इधर ही, आपके पाद पूजा करूंगा. बस भक्ति दे दो. ये द्वैत भक्ति इज बेटर. आप अलग है, हम अलग है. मैं आपकी सेवा हूं, बस सेवा करता रहूंगा. बस आगे मत जाना. आई डोंट वांट रियलाइजेशन. बस गुरु के चरण में रहो. बेचारा गुरु की एक बात हुई थी एक बार. मैंने दिस ऑल्सो आई शेयर्ड. बट योर फॉरगेटफुलनेस इज माई एम्प्लॉयमेंट. Suppose if you remember everything, where will I go? So, lucky. Now, one day, about in one house in Hyderabad, we all sat, Gurudev was sitting, and just in front of him, just sitting there, sofa में, single sofa, बहुत बढ़िया आराम से. और कमरे में, छोटा कमरा था जो एटलीस्ट 10-15 लोग बैठे, में भी 10 लोग. एंड कई लोग लाइन में आ रहे हैं, नमस्कार करके बाहर जा रहे हैं. बाहर पोर्टिको है, अंदर बैठे हैं बाहर. वी आर सिटिंग. एंड अंदर एक आदमी, ही क्लेम्स हिमसेल्फ टू बी द ग्रेट साधका एंड महात्मा एंड ग्रेट डिवोटी ऑफ गुरुदेव एंड ऑल. गुरुदेव टोल्ड, एनीवे, दिस मैन सिंग्स ऑल्सो, ओल्ड एल्डरली मैन. अपना हारमोनियम लेके आए, भजन गा रहे थे. तो आंख बंद करके भजन गा रहे थे वो. गुरुदेव भी आंख बंद करके भजन सुन रहे थे. खुली हुई आंख किसकी है? हमारी है, हम सबकी. हम देख रहे थे इसे गुरुदेव को. तो गुरुदेव सुन रहे थे भजन. ऐसा हाथ ऐसे. ही इज मूविंग हिज फिंगर्स, सो वी आर मूविंग हिज लुकिंग एट फिंगर्स, फीट, चेहरे. देर से देख रहे थे. उसको भी गाना सुन रहे थे, कभी इसको, कभी गुरुदेव को देख रहे थे. मेरे एक पंक्ति आई इसमें भजन में, वो गा रहे थे हिंदी में. जन्म जन्म में साथ रहो गुरु, जन्म जन्म में साथ तुई. गुरुदेव, ही इंडेक्स फिंगर हॉरिजॉन्टली मूव्ड. ऐसा गुरुदेव ऐसा, इंडेक्स फिंगर horizontally moving. The finger, hand is on his thigh or hand, on the handle of the chair. सोफा पे, सिंगल सोफा था, आराम से बैठे, ऐसे ऐसे हिला रहे थे इंडेक्स फिंगर को. माने तेरी बेवकूफ़ी, जन्म जन्म लेना तू ले लो, मुझे क्यों खींच रहे हो? पागल है. If you take next life, better luck for another guru, not to you. Better luck for another guru to bear you. पागलपना है सब. करोड़ों सपोज लोग फॉलोअर्स होते हैं, मर जाते हैं, सबके लिए जन्म जन्म लेते रहे ना. पागल है. इफ दैट इज द रूल, नोबडी विल गाइड अस एनीवेयर. गुरुडम भयंकर गुरु था. ये तो मर गए बेचारा. काम धंधा नहीं है क्या? हाँ, लोग बोलते रहते हैं अगले जन्म में आपके साथ रहेंगे। हाँ, जन्म हो तो देख लेंगे। पागल बनाया है। So, what is this Sakhyate Kim? Can one know in self, oneself that is a devotee? Is a fit recipient? Mama adhikaro astiva iti yah kopi purusha nirnotam shaktah va iti prashnaha. Can anybody come to a conclusion that, okay, am I fit or not fit for self-inquiry? Is a question. Can one know where do I stand for self-inquiry? The problem with all of us is we take the ego's clamorous noises too seriously and take all of them to be our own voice, our noise and our sorrows. Take the ego too seriously. First of all, best is not to consider at all. But ego के बातों के चक्कर में पड़कर बाबा, Asya pratyuttaramaha tribhi slokaihi. This question is answered in 3 shlokas by Bhagavan Ramana. So, can one know who is fit enough for this self-inquiry? Can one know that he is fit for self-inquiry? This we will take up tomorrow. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Arihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Arihi Om Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.